Does the narcissist think of you? Are you thinking of them? The quick answer is if they want something from you, they are thinking of a way to get it from you. Other than that, no, they don't think of you, not in the same way that we do of them. Most of the people I've spoken with so far, including myself when I first took that step to reach out for help, often start with, this is going to sound stupid, daft, silly, mad, crazy, or unbelievable. Most people who have suffered at the hands of a narcissist, be it a partner, parent, boss, friend, or other family members, have started with those kinds of words. Unless they are further along in recovery, even then sometimes we slip. You are far from alone in how you feel. None of it sounds stupid, daft, or crazy, or any of the other things that most of us leave with when we first open up. Unfortunately, narcissistic abuse is very real in society, and when it's only emotional, psychological abuse, it's hard to see. Even when there's physical abuse too, with how the narcissist blame shifts or uses reactive abuse against us. It's hard to see clearly what's happening to us, especially while we are living it. And it's hard to trust and open up in the start. Sexual abuse is another that people find incredibly hard to open up about. Then once out, although we know they are so wrong for us, they can run on a continuous loop around our heads. Though we know they are toxic, we can find ourselves reminiscing about those good times when the narcissist was idolizing us, when they were treating us better than anyone ever had, simply because they wanted something from us, never because they cared. We just want to move on, and yet they stay stuck on a pattern of repeat within our thoughts. We question, did they love me? Do they think of me? Are they happier with the new? Why wasn't I good enough? What could I have done differently? Even when we know we want to stop, we can still find ourselves going over the past, paying attention to the narcissist's new life and forgetting to focus on our own and start to build our own future. We can still think of them and still care for them because we have an attachment to those we are or once were close to. An attachment system is usually formed in early childhood with a baby and its primary caregiver. People can and do attach to others. They can also connect memories with emotions, making the attachment stronger. And within the dynamics of a narcissistic relationship, the narcissist will downplay all their negative behaviour, exaggerate all those times they idolize us, and they'll blame all their toxic behaviour on us, provoke us to then exaggerate our negative reactions so they can make us doubt ourselves, blame ourselves, and with the help of their gaslighting abuse, we then make up extremely valid excuses within our minds of why it wasn't them and why we need to change to keep them happy. As well as the trauma bond, we find ourselves needing a reason to keep our attachment to them. With a narcissist, the attachment system either never develops or some form of trauma happens to them in early childhood or childhood at some point. And it can actually happen during adulthood also, that they turn into the fight survival mode to protect themselves, cutting off their attachment to others, cutting off their positive emotions like joy, happiness, love, to protect themselves, meaning on a deep level they can never truly connect or miss others. Empathy is the human's ability to be able to identify with how another person might be feeling so that we can respond in an appropriate manner. Empathy is when you can think about how you would feel if something bad happened to someone. As we once did and still can deeply care for the narcissist, we can empathise that people make mistakes, they've had a rough deal, they're trying to change. We can see the right side in them, the illusion of the admiration face when they idolised us. We lived it, we know they are capable of it, and we can miss it. Even though we know they treat us so wrong, Also, as they've often gaslighted us into believing it's all our fault, as we're often the ones left feeling crazy with heightened emotions from the effects the narcissistic abuse has on our brains, and because we've possibly reacted, have health problems, and the narcissist will have fed our minds with things like, "Who'd love you? You're crazy. You're lucky to have me." We believe them. A narcissistic person most often can simply just not have the emotional empathy to see what another person is feeling. They just don't understand it. They cannot relate. They cannot put themselves in another's shoes to genuinely care. Some have cognitive empathy. This is to think empathetically, and this is used in a negative way. They can see how they can use our empathy for their advantage, how they can exploit others through other people's feelings to get their needs met, to guilt trip us, to place fear into us, and not how they can help others. When they come for the hoover with the guilt trips and the pity plays, we can feel guilt for so many things, for not being there for them. We can feel guilt for not helping if they ask for our help. Narcissists have little to no guilt or remorse. Without that empathy, they don't feel bad when they hurt someone. They can see how others would perceive them, so they do carry shame. However, they quickly remove this shame by blame shifting it onto others, projecting their own thoughts and feelings onto others, then telling stories to those who do empathise of how badly they were treated, as they've learned this gets them the attention they require, that they believe they are entitled to, often believing their own stories as reality because they tell them so often. We have a conscience and we question what we could have done better, especially when we have children with them, as we want our children to have two parents and we think empathetically towards the children and how they might be feeling. And when one parent is toxic, taking children from that toxic household can be heartbreaking and devastating. You have to remember children do better in a happy home with one parent than an abusive home with two. A narcissist lacks a conscience, meaning they are unaware within themselves of the true differences between right and wrong and how their actions might hurt another person. They believe they are special and superior and that the rules simply do not apply to them. We have object consistency. This is usually formed around the age of 2 to 3, meaning we develop a side to caring for others, even if we are not around that person at any given time. Those of us who have this means even when someone hurts us, even when they hurt us badly, we can still care about them. A narcissist lacks in object consistency and in any moment can just stop caring for others if they feel their needs are no longer being met. We have whole object relations. We know within ourselves we can make mistakes. We understand that others make mistakes. We look for the good in them. And the admiration face of a narcissist when they mirror us and idolise us. We've seen it. We know who they can be. We know how they can treat us. They lack whole object relations. They are unable to see humans as not perfect, that come with flaws, and we all make mistakes. So once they realise they don't like something about someone else, instead of seeing them as perfectly imperfect, as we often do them, with different thoughts and different feelings, who make mistakes, who learn from mistakes, they see us as damaged and hurtful and just don't care or have the ability to understand and find the middle ground with us as we try to our own detrimental effects to do with them. We have cognitive reflection skills, therefore we can reflect on our own behaviour. We see and learn from our mistakes. They often lack in cognitive reflection. They believe it's all our fault for any problems they are having. They blame all others for their own failings, rarely to never reflecting on their own behaviour, mistakes or errors in judgment. It's so frustrating trying to have a reasonable conversation with a narcissist who will never see our point of view. Those on the disorder will never listen to reason or your point of view. So learning how to handle your own emotions and your own responses around them, I do recommend no contact as the best approach. It's better to have loved and to have lost than it is to live with a narcissistic psychopath for the rest of your life. You are not, and you never were crazy. You just loved, cared, trusted, and respected the toxic words of a narcissist. Narcissistic people that you never had the knowledge to understand who they are, what they do, those red flags, or that this personality disorder even existed. If they were your parents, you were raised to believe it to be normal. We then end up accepting behaviour as normal that we should never have accepted. Yet often most adults of childhood narcissistic abuse will say something just didn't feel right. And how could a child know what that feeling was when they were being taught by the very person making them feel this way? Even partners, as they treat us so right in the beginning and then slowly infect our minds, our instincts speak, yet we don't know what they are telling us. So what exactly do narcissistic people do to us that makes us think of them so much? Emotional abuse is hard to see. These are some things that happen to people in an emotionally abusive relationships. Emotional abuse is non-physical, yet some or a lot of physical abuse can occur in these relationships also. When we know we've been punched in the face, it hurts, it leaves a mark, we feel it, we see it, yet due to fear and intimidation, most people still don't leave. Psychological abuse hurts us differently in the most unimaginable ways. We just don't see it happening. You just cannot see it or feel it. You feel it, but in a different way. Just like physical abuse, psychological abuse causes so much pain, yet mostly the confusion and the pain occur in our hearts, our minds, our soul. Both types of abuse leaving lots of side effects like anxiety, trauma bonding and CPTSD. The relationship with a narcissist usually starts with the narcissist wanting you all to themselves, building that attachment system within us. We get used to them being around. It almost feels like we've lost a limb when they are not with us. This isn't always the case, depending on how many other partners the narcissist already has on the go. But then you've got that kind of, you always want what you haven't got. And when they treat you so well and then disappear on you, it builds that curiosity and that attachment to want to get to know them. In most cases, this is a red flag. The very first idolization stage, when they just cannot seem to get enough of us, with them treating us so well, and let's face it, we get to a point when we cannot get enough of them either. However, when you want to go out with friends, at first they might offer lifts to help, when in reality they're just keeping an eye on you, yet we believe they're being kind. They might make us feel guilty for going, so we slowly stop going to socialise with friends and family members. Further into the relationship, they will start with the arguments, the silent treatments or the accusations. Either before we go or when we get home, we end up cutting ourselves off from friends and family due to the fear of the narcissist reactions. Or the narcissist triangulates us with toxic words like, they don't like you anyway, or they talk about you behind your back, they said this about you, or your parents just use you. and the rest. They'll start arguments before family events. Then when you arrive, they'll be the life and the soul of the party while you're left hurt, angry, upset or frustrated. They can then use this further down the line in their smear campaign when they want to make out that we are crazy. When we are isolated, we lack the support system to help us see what's happening. So if you have got people saying things in the beginning when the narcissist is treating you so right, the narcissist will go all out to make sure you cut them off. People warning you about them, the narcissist will go all out to cut them off. When we do see, most of us go through our own struggle with our own pride and our own ego, through guilt of not believing those who were right, fear of judgment, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of embarrassment. We don't want to approach those very people who could help us. Worse still, with some narcissistic people, they will have all your friends and family on their side as their flying monkeys or enablers. Believe in the narcissist and not you. Isolation is a major red flag for future awareness when or if you start dating again. Try reaching out to friends and family you've been isolated from. Good people who love and care will help you. Reaching out to online support groups where you can speak with those who've lived it and understand it to build your confidence, connect with others, not feel so alone. You can make amazing online friends. Then start getting back out into the world. This isn't easy to start with, especially with anxiety. Learning your triggers so you know you. Find anchor thoughts. Keep telling yourself that you are safe now. Start by just smiling at people and then saying hello. It will get easier and you will get there. Most people around narcissistic people no longer feel in control of their own lives, thoughts or feelings. So often we have to learn how to think for ourselves again and put ourselves first without feeling guilty for doing so. The narcissist tells you they are the only one to understand you, to care about you, to love you. It's hard enough being isolated and feeling alone, lost in a world of thoughts that are no longer your own thoughts, all now based on the narcissist reality, thanks to the narcissist toxic words. Yet, the only or main person you have for reality checks is the very person making you feel how you do. And then they come at you with verbal attacks of you're insecure, you need help, no one will love you. When we've been taken down mentally, those words can cut deep. Our minds believe them and we start to believe that something is wrong with us. And they can help us feel grateful that we have their help and support when they play nice with their words of, after all, I do for you. When in reality, if you honestly think about it, they do very little for us other than making our lives a living nightmare. While we are not understanding, they are the ones taking us down. This puts the narcissist more in control of our minds. Their toxic words chip away at our confidence, our self-worth, leaving us questioning our very instincts, believing we are not lovable and should be grateful for the narcissist's negative, toxic love. Once you do start to see, writing it out helps a lot of people, so we can start putting reality back into our minds, thinking for ourselves again, learning and understanding about the disorder so we know how we think and feel is far from crazy. We've just been gaslighted and manipulated by someone to feel that way so they could keep control over us. Learning those insecurities were actually our instincts speaking out. Even though at the time we didn't know what they were telling us. Now we know when our intuition is trying to warn us. Also, we're not sure what it is at the time, but we do learn that it's time to trust it as it is usually right. From one moment to the next, you just don't know who they are going to be, leaving us walking on eggshells around them, tiptoeing around the landmine in case we set them off. In reality, it is not us that sets them off, it's who they are. They set themselves off. This doesn't make it easier while you're living it or fresh out of it, yet after time learning to understand that nice and nasty side is who they are. It's all manipulation to get their own needs met, all to distort our reality and our perceptions of them, all to train our minds to behave how they want us to behave, all so they can keep control over us, keep control over the others, as they don't honestly know who they are. They feed off others. Why? No matter what you try, it will never be good enough for them. It'll never be right. And no, it will never be good enough for them. You are good enough for you. And their behaviour trains our mind to doubt our own thoughts, to question our own abilities, to fear being open and being ourselves around others, to be scared of what people will think of us, to worry about offending other people, worry about all other people's reactions of just being ourselves, all because we spent too long around a narcissist. Now, people who are negative, who react to us, they are not the kind of people we want to be around in the first place. Most people, either in a relationship with a narcissist or once out, feel ashamed for being themselves, as a narcissistic person continually puts us down and criticises us. Some do it in the obvious ways of you're not capable of that, you cannot do that, you're not good enough, the overt narcissist. Some more subtle, should you really do that? I wouldn't do that if I was you, the covert narcissist. When you're constantly being told that you're not good enough, no one will love you, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too stupid, you're insecure, you're crazy, no one will believe you, and all the other negative, manipulative, gaslighting phrases they use against us, it programs our minds to believe it. We then no longer feel good enough about who we are, the skin we're in, our own abilities, and it holds us back from being who we indeed are. When they point out our mistakes, our flaws, our insecurities, when they make them up as they go along and sink us further, it takes a piece of us every single time. It chips away slowly over time at our self-esteem, our self-worth, our self-confidence. We start to believe them and their poisonous words. They plant those seeds of doubt. Then they help them grow within our minds. Most of us then learn to no longer open up. We shut ourselves off because they shame us into believing our feelings are not typical, that our feelings are not normal. They invalidate us at every turn. This also means we start to question our own sanity. Was it them? Is it me? If only I. Am I crazy? Did I do that? Why don't I remember that? This again causes us to start overthinking and is mostly down to the gaslighting from the narcissist, psychological abuse that gets you to doubt your own reality and your own sanity. We lose more trust within ourselves and our own capabilities. We think of those times they treated us right and then we question ourselves. Make no mistake, you did nothing wrong and it's their manipulative abuse. We then also start to no longer feel in control of our own lives, all our hopes and decision making, the promises they don't deliver, as the narcissist has questioned continuously what we are doing, where we are going, our choices in how we dress. We might start to worry that our own individual choices don't please them, and it might start an argument with them. So we end up asking them before we do anything. We run all our thoughts and ideas through them. We start doubting ourselves and running all our choices through them before we do anything, and going without what they don't approve of rather than what we approve of. You have to start looking at others that have done things. When you're in that self-doubt of believing that you are not capable of doing something, you have to start looking at others who have done things that you would like to do. They are a person just like you. It is possible. If someone else can do it, you can do it too. Don't look to be better than others. Look to be better than you. We are only ever in competition with ourselves. We have to keep growing, learning, developing our own abilities. We just have to get started. And often when we start, we do suck at things. And we just have to keep going and keep learning and keep growing. And plenty of people will give you the boost and the confidence to keep going. It's narcissistic people that will want to hold you back, that will be jealous of you, that will be envious of you, that will not want to see you succeed. Other people understand that it takes time and patience to learn anything new and will be there to support you. Once you start doing something new, it gets easier. Don't look at the mistakes, look for the lessons and go again. Acknowledge any achievement along the way. Open up to those who've lived it and will validate your feelings as normal. That will give you ideas of how to move on. Take those ideas that work for you. We are individuals. Leave the ideas that don't work for you. You can create new dreams, new goals, new hopes. You can take back control of who you are. Start with the simple things, how you want to dress for you. You are now free to choose for you, and don't let anyone tell you that it's not right or make you feel uncomfortable for being yourself. Those who do, the problem is with them, not you. Feel comfortable, feel good, feel happy in the clothing that you have on. Dress how you want. Show up as what you want. You have to feel comfortable with your choices. With good intentions, do what's right for you. Choose what you want to watch, where you want to go. Take back your decision-making skills. You are more than capable. You have them. Take back your thinking. They're yours. Take back control and simply be who you want to be for you. Breaking the pattern of thoughts within your mind, just like watching the same movie. You know what's going to happen. You know the end, yet because of the good bits, you view it again. Or the same track of music. The more you listen to it, the more it sticks in your mind. You might hear different bits each time you listen, or you might take different perspectives from it, which is excellent. Yet when you're listening and hearing the same thing over and over, that's what you're hearing and your mind is perceiving and your mind is focusing on it. It's like that song you hear in the morning that gets stuck in your head for the rest of the day. And when it's not working for you, you have to change that thought process. Your mind and your thoughts need interrupting, and they need interrupting by you. Like when you're deep in a conversation, then someone takes you off topic and you completely forget the original point because your mind was interrupted. So when the thoughts aren't working for you, you've got to purposely interrupt those thoughts to make them work for you. With the narcissist, unfortunately, we sometimes want to change our thoughts, yet because we've nothing perceived as more important to focus on, we stay stuck on the old memories, the old dreams, instead of finding new ones. We stay stuck on the past, that movie on repeat of how we wanted it to end, but it did not end that way. We find it difficult to shift those thoughts. We get stuck and caught up in the woe is me pain mindset. Why do they get to move on while we hurt? Even though we want to move on, we cannot just shift them out of our minds. We have to find ways to make it a must. When it's a must, our minds know we must do it. Then we take action to find a way to do this. We have to make the choice. We have to make the decision. When we find the ways and the methods to break our own thought process and make our minds work for us rather than against us. When we miss them, remember the reality of the relationship you had with them. Think about it like if you were to go back and watch that movie again. When you watch that movie, it ends the same way. When you go back to that relationship, it ends the same way, usually more painful. If you were to go back, what's it going to be like in 6 months, 1 year? The pattern keeps cycling. You've already been around it before. Start giving yourself a better future by thinking of how happy you will be without them. Everything you can do without them. How you can live your life without having the narcissist to answer to. Remember, you don't really love them even though you thought you did. Obsession, trauma bonding and attachment to anyone is not love. It's intense and it's mistaken for love. We think it's love. It's not true love. We've connected to them, but not in a way that's going to help us. It's those chemicals your body has released because of the highs and the lows. It's not love. Are those highs really worth the lows and the downs? Start telling yourself over and over until it sinks into your mind, it's not love, it's addiction. It's not love, it's an addiction. And keep telling yourself that you can and you will break that addiction. Set boundaries and stop all contact. Grey rock if you have children with them and they still see the children. At the start, it is going to be really difficult. It is going to be really hard. You will have withdrawals. Keep going. It gets easier. Do it now, and you have to go through the withdrawals. You have to grieve. There is no other way. It's far better to grieve now than in 10 years' time. After the withdrawals, you will reclaim your happiness. Discover a new passion for you by replacing that void that they leave behind. Discover new passions with new activities, new friends, anything. Just get yourself busy. I know that's difficult in current times, but just find ways to keep yourself busy and keep going so you don't go back to them. So if you're thinking of phoning them or emailing them, feel free to write it out to get it out of your headspace, but do not send it. Phone anybody but them. Sometimes it's not the person you miss, it's the routines that you miss. So creating new routines to see you through. When you're having down moments, put some uplifting music on or call someone close to you. Look for things that you have achieved in your life. Look for things to be grateful for. Look for the small things in life that give you pleasure, give you joy. When they just pop into your head, acknowledge that they have and then tell yourself you're not interested. Find anything you can to remove those thoughts. Watch something funny, listen to something good, call a friend, start making plans for your future. Whatever it is that takes to reprogram your mind, you can and you will. Get help and support from support groups. Connect to people who've lived it. Reach out and find someone. People will help you. Changing how you think takes time and patience from within. It is like learning to kick a ball. If you kick a ball with your right foot, and then you want to start kicking it with your left foot, you have to deliberately direct your thoughts to kick that ball with your other foot, and then practice. The same as writing. If you're right-handed and you want to start writing with your left hand, it's practice. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to look messy when you first pick that pencil up. It will feel unnatural. You will miskick the football. Your writing will look messy. Your kick will not be as powerful as your usual foot. Your writing will look sloppy. It will be hard, but if you keep going, if you keep practicing, you get it and it gets easier. Whatever hand you write with, when you first started to write, it didn't come as naturally to you as it does now. Learning any new skill is the same as making yourself think about things you want to think about. It will feel strange and uncomfortable at times. It will feel unnatural. You need to think optimistic. You need to support your own thoughts. You need to think positive. You need to believe it is possible, and then you need to work on it. You can change your thought process. It's going to be a process that takes time. You will have setbacks along the way when you don't see great change, but you must keep going, keep learning, keep changing, keep growing. When you change how you think, you will change your life for the better, as long as you think for the better. Whatever it is that's stopping you right now, whatever your limiting beliefs are, you need to write them down. So however that person made you feel, you need to write it out. Any of the setbacks you've had, you need to write it out. Any untruths that you've told yourself or they told you, you need to write it out. Things like, I'm not good enough. I can't trust everyone. It's just too hard. My heart's had enough. I don't know how to start rebuilding my life. Whatever they are, whatever got programmed into your mind, you need to see them and write them all down. And then write down the story you tell yourself, and next to it, write down the truth. Things like, we had an amazing connection. They learned everything about me. They mirrored me and they faked it all. They can change. They said they changed so many times and they've never managed it. What is different now? Nothing. They will not change. It was my fault they acted that way. Nobody, no one deserves to be manipulated and abused. It is not my fault. We could make it work this time. What's different this time? Nothing. They'll never make it work, as they do not love or care for me. I'll never find real love. If you go back to them, it'll take longer to find real love, as they don't really love people. And you need to ask yourself, what have these beliefs cost me in my past? And write that down. What are they costing you today? And write those down. If you don't change what they are going to cost you in the coming days, weeks, months and years. So write down what those beliefs you have of the relationship cost you, or beliefs that are holding you back, limiting beliefs. Every time old limiting beliefs come to your mind, catch the negative default mindset thought, take control back of your mind, and then deliberately place a new thought into your mind. You need to do a mindset reset. Take back control of your mind and your own life. You no longer have to live your life how your mindset has been programmed, has been trained to do so. You are free to change that and live your life how you want. Your mind controls your emotions. You can control how you want to think and feel. No more, no one will ever love me. Now it's the right people will love me. No more, I don't even know where to start. It needs to be, I'm going to take small daily steps each and every day, slowly but surely turning my life around. No more, I'm not good enough. You are good enough. Now it's, I'm good enough for me and the right people will understand me. No more, I don't trust anyone. It needs to be, I trust my instincts. The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking when we created them, which is a quote by Albert Einstein. Learning or creating yourself to be exactly who you want to be, to rediscover your own thinking abilities, removing self-doubt from your mind. With good intentions, there is no wrong way or right way to live your life. It's better to do your best and miss than do nothing at all. We are all survivors. We are all still here. Good people will understand you. Forgive innocent mistakes that you've made. People who are not there for you are not the people for you. Keep going, keep trying new things until you find what works for you. You've got this. I shall add in the description the links to find me on social media and the online courses that are available. I shall add the videos on how to handle a narcissist smear campaign. I want to explain more about fight, flight, freeze or fawn, because we often go into one of those within or after a narcissistic relationship. The video to explain more on how it causes brain damage within our emotional side, and the video on reactive abuse to give you more understanding of those. Thank you for listening. Bye.